Connected.
So, okay. I think we can start the webinar. we are already streaming live on YouTube. So we'll start in 1 minute. I'll just set up the.
You're muted, Sri.
Okay. Let's begin the webinar. Hello and welcome to the ICYC webinar on International Youth Day. Before we start, we'll quickly discuss about the housekeeping rules. Please mute yourself when you're not talking, and if you have any questions, please post your questions on the chat box. We are streaming live on YouTube, and for official purpose, we'll be recording this webinar. I now welcome our chairperson, Alieza Benefir. The floor is yours, sir.
Hello, everyone. It's great to see very familiar faces from the youth members of our region, and this is actually a very great opportunity for us to celebrate the International Youth Day, which is a few days later than the original day, but still, I believe this can be celebrated with the presence of our members, our potential members, our current members, and our future members, where we have a lot of different activities having done with so many of you. I see different people from different countries, and this is actually a very great pleasure for me, at least, to see these active faces and smiling faces from different regions and different countries. So before officially starting the webinar, I would like to share my appreciation to Mr. Robbie Toulouse, who is joining us from Canada, which is now around 1:30, something like that, a.m. And this is actually a very great opportunity for us to see how his activities and his views and his ideas are going to be applicated to the youth movement in the Asia Pacific. But again, I welcome you to the International Committee of Youth in Asia Pacific, which we call it ICYC. This is the webinar on International Youth Day, where the theme for our webinar is mentioned by the UN, which is ageism in employment. ICAAP Committee on Youth Cooperation, or ICYC, is one of the thematic committees of the ICAAP, and it focuses on the youth development and bringing more youth into the field of cooperative movement. We organize different activities like Asia Pacific Youth Summit, Coopathon, which is a cooperative hackathon, and our main agenda of the committee is to involve youth in the cooperative movement. To be honest, we have been trying to increase the voice of the youth in different countries and organizations so that youth are being heard, being seen, and being recognized by their main ambition and ideas. Today, as we celebrate the Sustainable Development Goals, which we call SDGs, also known as the Global Goals, were adopted by the United Nations in 2015 as a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that by 2030, all people enjoy peace and prosperity. To achieve the SDGs, the world needs to leverage the full potential of all generations. Solidarity across generations is key for sustainable development as it can foster collaboration for successful and equitable intergenerational relation and partnerships to ensure no one is left behind. The UN Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, recently put forward new recommendations on renewed intergenerational solidarity to address concerns of future generations and in tackling global issues, including in our common agenda. However, many challenges remain. This is just the beginning of the webinar that we are going to have today. So I think you have heard enough from me over the last online meetings or different physical meetings, but I would like to take this opportunity to introduce you to our fantastic speakers for today, which I mentioned one of them, Mr. Roby Toulouse. And next to him, we have Hira Hardianti. I hope you forgive my mispronunciation if there is any, from Indonesia. And also we have John Paul Gonia from Red Root from Philippines. We are very honored to have these speakers. Also, we will have a video message from our regional director, Mr. Balu Ayer, who is now on a project in another country, but has done a great favor to us to send his video message so that members from the ICYC and also participants at this webinar will be taking advantage of the information shared at this webinar. For your information, Mrs. Dulce, she is the vice chairperson of the ICYC, will be moderating this webinar. And just another tiny point that we will try our best to make this webinar into a roundtable of the conversation that we can have, so that members and participants can also pitch in, share their thoughts, and ask their questions on the spot. So we won't have any Q&A session. I would like everyone to be interactive and to come up when there is any question or comment or any proposal to be shared with other members. Having said that, I will give the floor back to Shri. So if he has any extra points to share, then the moderator will start the introduction of the speakers and everything else. Thank you so much, and very happy to meet all of you again.
Thank you so much, Alireza. Before we hand over and introduce moderator, I'll quickly play the video message of regional director, Mr. Balu. Sorry, 1 second.
National Youth Day. International Youth Day is celebrated annually.
Is it audible?
No.
And this touches upon a very important area.
Just a second, sorry.
I can't hear.
Good morning. Let me begin by wishing you all a very happy International Youth Day. International Youth Day is celebrated annually on 12th August to bring youth issues to the fore and celebrate the potential of youth as partners in today's global society. This year's theme goes a step beyond. It calls on intergenerational solidarity, creating a world for all ages, and this touches upon a very important area. Care for the planet is not the responsibility of one generation or of one age group. It cuts across generations and all age groups. Actions needed to tackle climate change, pandemic, address poverty and inequality. How we take responsibility for all this cuts across generations. Relations between generations in a family can be complicated, and it gets even more complicated at a societal level. We need solidarity to understand how different generations relate to, help, and depend on one another in their daily lives. We need to develop community for all ages, and I believe cooperatives are well positioned to serve as a cauldron to bring in young people, existing members, and those who are past their prime. It can help promote intergenerational learning and dialogue, challenge discrimination, strengthen ties across ages, and promote social inclusion. And this I see is happening across many countries. In Japan, you have the elderly who are involved with young school children, taking care of them and being there while the parents are away working. In the Philippines, you have laboratory cooperatives which are created where there is experience shared among the generations. And this is what we need to encourage more across cooperatives in the Asia Pacific region. I'm pleased the ICAP Youth Committee is organizing this webinar, and through this it hopes to amplify the message that action is needed across all generations to achieve sustainable development and leave no one behind, and also to increase awareness on barriers to intergenerational solidarity which impacts young and old persons. I'm delighted we have speakers across the age spectrum to share their experiences and talk about intergenerational engagement and the role youth can play. I'd like to thank our speakers, John Paul from the Philippines, Hera Hadianti from Indonesia, Dr. Robbie Tullis, my good friend and mentor and former ICAP Regional Director, and Jayantha Vikramasnaike, the UN Youth Envoy, for joining us today. My appreciation to the ICAP Youth Committee, led by Ali Reza Benafir, the Chairperson, Dulce Bustamante, Vice Chairperson, Sri Padmanabhan, the Secretary, and other members for bringing us together. I wish you all a very happy International Youth Day and best wishes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Valoya, for sending his video message. Now I would like to invite Dulce to take over the webinar.
Thank you so much, Sri.
And of course, that was a very, very energizing message from our regional director of the ICAAP. So again, cooperative greetings to all our guests and participants for this afternoon, and for those who are watching us in our social media accounts as well. Right now, the ICYC is very delighted to virtually see you all and celebrate the International Youth Day with us. For this year, our theme is intergenerational solidarity, creating a world for all ages. Today, our webinar will provide an opportunity for all the stakeholders around the world to exchange views on the topic of intergenerational solidarity, intergenerational equity, future generations, and ageism. And of course, we have this very, very talented and very, very outstanding set of speakers they were already introduced a while ago. So before we start this conversation, it will be, as what they have told earlier, this will be a light conversation wherein we will exchange views, we will exchange our opinions, and we will exchange the best practices of each cooperative and each country so that we can achieve intergenerational solidarity for cooperative. So allow me to give you first a brief background on what our speakers are up to and what are their involvements in the cooperative sector. Our first panel here, greetings again from Canada, to Canada rather, Mr. Robbie Toulouse. Good afternoon, or rather good morning there, sir. Mr. Robbie Toulouse is the special advisor to the Indonesian Canadian Congress, or we call it the ICC, and he is based in Ottawa, Canada. He pioneered and co-founded the credit union movement in Indonesia in the late 1960s, and founded and pioneered again recent establishments of the National Association of Socioeconomic Cadres, as well as the INKUR Federation of Indonesia. Mr. Robbie started his career as the managing director of CUCO Indonesia in 1971 and served as a training specialist of the Asian Confederation of the CUs. Also, the Asia's regional director of the Canadian Cooperative Association, a senior policy advisor of the ICA, and of course, the ICA regional director of Asia Pacific from 1996 to 2002. He undertook various consultancies for cooperatives and was named as the ICA Special Envoy in 2005 to oversee the cooperative post-tsunami reconstruction programs in Indonesia and Sri Lanka. Once again, let us give our hand to our first panel, Mr. Robbie Toulouse. Good afternoon, sir. And along with Mr. Robbie is, of course, a friend of ours, a friend of the ICYC, and also a friend of the Philippines. Our next panel is a cooperator at the Institute for Indonesian Cooperative Development and Studies, an educator at the COPIN, where she completed her post-graduation in management study. Currently, she serves as a consultant for the Agency of Cooperative and SMEs in West Java and some institutions. She also served as a chairperson of the Women Cooperator Committee and continued her work in women cooperative empowerment and youth movement as a global cooperative entrepreneur mentor. She is a co-founder of mycoolclass.com, a teacher-owned learning platform cooperative. She is highly skilled in nonprofit organization, social enterprise, corporate social responsibility, policy analysis, and youth development, and has undertaken numerous international courses. Let us all welcome Ms. Hera Hardian. Good afternoon. And last but not the least, a fellow Filipino who I'm so proud of. Our last panel is the chairperson of Red Root Artists and the Artisans Multipurpose Cooperative and co-founder of the Youth Connect Cooperative. His work has helped build Red Root into the organization that it is today. As project manager, he has helped solidify the growth of Red Root through establishing new business lines such as virtual exhibits and events, learning management systems, museum modernization, and interactive installation. Our panel earned his bachelor's degree at the University of San Carlos in Cebu, Philippines. And ever since he joined Red Root in 2013, He has fallen in love with the cooperative movement and continues to work toward showing how cooperatives should be preferred business model in the Philippines, in Asia Pacific, and around the world. Our last panel is Mr. John Paul Don Gonya. So I have introduced our panel. So just to lighten up the mood, can you just let's say greet everyone? Just say one-liner greeting for all our young cooperators and all our viewers. Let's start with Sir Robbie.
Hello. Would you like me to start now?
You can just greet everyone. Just say
Oh,
one-liner
yes.
greeting to lighten up the mood.
Oh, yeah. Happy International Youth Day, and I'm very happy to be to participate in this panel on the generational solidarity. Sorry, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, so you can hear me stuttering from time to time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Robbie. Let's hear some words from Hera.
Hello, everyone. It's so nice to see you all. And I'm really looking for us to meet in person again somewhere, somehow. Thank you, hello, everyone.
Thank you. And of course, Mr. John Paul, Mr. JP.
Hi, good day to everyone. Once again, hello to the committee and to my fellow panelists. It's an honor to be included with you, Sir Robbie, and you, Ma'am Hera. So yeah, really excited to discuss and yeah, happy International Youth Day.
Okay, thank you so much to our speakers for today. So for our viewers and for our streamers, if you have any points or any opinions or discussions that you want to ask or tell our panel here, you can simply chat it in the chat box right now that we have in the Zoom platform or in our YouTube streaming video. So let's start our forum for this program. So I think it's better for us to learn from the expert. It's better from us, young people, to know what are the different foundations or what are the different factors that we really have to learn in establishing this intergenerational solidarity through cooperative movement. And of course, there's no other person who can enlighten us about this, none other than Sir Robbie. So Robbie, as a senior cooperator, okay, you have spent around 5 decades. Sorry to divulge that information. You have spent a long time, rather, in the cooperative movement. Can you share us your experiences in terms of, let's say, how you see cooperative then versus now?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, can you see my
Yes, sir.
my presentation on screen? Okay, I'll try and okay. Thank you very much, Dulce, and I'm very happy to be here with you all. And there are familiar faces, including Hera, of course, who I know more than well, and Madam Eri is also here, which is interesting. She's in the mid between youth and senior, so she's in the mid junior, I think, yeah. And Mr. Ali Reza was chair and Sri as ICA person. I'm happy that you have already given us the contextual illustration, the contextual analysis of what this International Youth Day is engaged in. And I wouldn't repeat that, except to say that I'll show you a panoramic of picture. I started the movement 55, I was in the cooperative movement for 55 years. So I started when I was your age. I started when I was 27 years old. It's a little late, but you know, that's where I started build credit unions and cooperatives in villages in Indonesia, experimenting it. And now I'm the youngest among you all. So as you can see. Now, having said that, I'll just go quick because it's already here in Canada. And I'd like to show you a panoramic picture. But before I do so, I have to actually explore a little bit the term ageism, because it's a new term. And I think it's a very interesting concept and a very interesting theme that ICA has put forward, the International Youth Committee has put forward, because ageism is defined as stereotypes or discrimination or preconception against individuals or groups on the basis of age. And I think what is important for us to know that it could be casual and it could also be systemic. When you deal with an institution, it becomes systemic. But when we deal on a day-to-day basis, meeting people in relationship, it is casual. And I'm very much ingrained into this issue because even in Canada right now, racism is starting to escalate, and racism is starting to sort of starting to evolve, and that now ageism is also being very much discussed here within the context of the Canadian society, because as is described by Butler, discrimination against seniors is patterned primarily among sexism and racism. And as you well know, in the United States earlier with the Black Lives Matter, and in Canada, which you would have known, we have the whole issue of the residential school system that's being ostracized, if I may use that term, by the Catholic Church in the past. And it's not the Catholic as an institution, but it's also a colonial legacy. It is the patrimonial aspect of the colonial times that was usurped into the societal context in Canada in the past. So again, the terms ageism can also be used to describe oppression of younger people by older people. So I guess, we have lots of myths. We've got lots of stereotyping in our society. And where does cooperative fit in? I think that's the most important part that we want to discuss, and why I have been involved in cooperatives for 55 years. And mind you, if you have the cooperative virus in your system, there's no vaccine that could kill that virus. Even the cooperative virus is so strong that even that it's stronger than the COVID, and believe it is. So, myths and stereotypes. You could see that stereotypes of age has been happening everywhere. Sometimes the young children was being said as being bubbly, active, happy, always laughing, eats a lot of sweets. Teenagers, rebellious, lazy, egocentric, irresponsible, material things, and so like material things and only socializing. Old people, slow, fragile, slow drivers, bad hearing, males, gray, white hair. And, those are all the stereotypes and the myths that one can see either in personal relationship as well in a systemic system. And, well, you can see that here on the left, I'll see the old being forgetful, slow, poor, frail, and lonely, and whatnot. It's all stereotypes and myths. And the millennial, for example, are job hoppers, are narcissistic, selfish, take instructions from superiors, cannot take hardship, bad work ethic, are lazy, are financial illiterate, and so forth and so forth. But my gosh, these are all stereotypes. That is not true. If you look at the millennials, and I believe it wholeheartedly, that they have great insight, mindsets are leveraging the learning mindset. They are harnessing the desire for learning, built intelligence. And I have my interaction with so many millennials that I've always liked to learn from them, right? They release the pressure valve, for example. Millennials are releasing pressure valves. They develop culture that builds perseverance, actually. And that's why they have sustained pursuits. I think it's important if we bring them into into an inclusive cooperative system that they can cope with strategies, they focus the excellence and celebrate successes in time. So we need to bring millennials and the youth into the cooperative system, and they are make it matter, not make it better. They make it matter. It matters to them because millennials are more engaged and loyal when they can see how their work aligns with their values and they can see wider impact. That is said from the positive perspective. But of course, with the neoliberal policies, consumerism is starting to prevail in many societies. Some of this millennials are also has drifted into that kind of consumerism, which I think the co-op bring them back into engaging them as a loyal millennial with the values that they can see for impact in cooperatives. So I think these are very important things that stereotypes that cooperatives would not believe in. Why? Cooperatives defies all the myths and stereotypes. Look at that. I know young Hera. If you look at the picture on the left, that was young Hera when she was still small. How old were you there, Hera? You must be very young then. But Hera, one person whom I knew from the beginning, has that passion. She has that co-op spirit in her, in her psyche. And look at what she has done now. She has now become the co-founder of the MCC. What is MCC? Can me again, Hera? My
My
class, of course.
co-class.
Yeah, of course, I know that. But you see, she promotes international solidarity, and it means cohesion between generations. So that's the reason why cooperatives defy ageism, because co-ops are inclusive, co-ops are resilient, and co-ops are resourceful. And those are the best ingredients for building intergenerational solidarity. So let's look further. Age generation is beside the point. Cooperative is not a peripheral ideology that only is a supplementary role in economic, social, and cultural or political affairs. No, ideology is central and distinct. And what I'm trying to say here is before anybody gets involved, especially the young, you have to understand the ideology and philosophy of course, and credit unions. Because without, and you go into managerialism, you go into technical mechanisms, then you lose track of the cooperative system itself. You have to start with philosophy and ideology. And so, in doing so, it is for all age groups and generations that we find our passion. And what is your passion? To be relentless, to explore new ideas all the time, to be thirsty for knowledge. And I think as a cooperative, you are. Cooperative is has such a long historical time frame that you need to be thirsty for the knowledge. And I just reread again the book from Watson's about static and dynamic, staticism and dynamism. And he was the first director general of ICA in the 1950s. And he wrote a book on the principles of cooperation. And, there's so much knowledge in it. And that knowledge is all based on philosophical and ideological underpinnings. To understand the life, to understand and live the value of cooperatives, that's also where your passion should be, to understand and live the cooperative principles, to process and operationalize these values and principles with ethics and good governance and management. So in other words, you start with values, you start with principles, but then you live with it, and then good governance and management come following that. And so you have to value volunteerism. So when I retire, of course, my work has more has been all volunteering, building, innovating new types of cooperatives, especially multi-purpose stakeholder cooperatives and the multi-stakeholder cooperatives that I'm very passionate about. So these are the things that I find important when you start building yourselves into the stream, cooperative stream. And if I may share my personal experience, I always continue to educate myself, understand and imbibe the ideology and philosophy, continue to exercise self-help and self-responsibility through mutual aid, and mindset transformation. When I was in university, and this is a reflection of my life, really. I've got friends who thought I'm a lunatic. They thought I'm a lunatic because he said, "Why do you like cooperatives? Look at me. I am, I am now the president director of the Astra International. He's one of the 10 richest in Indonesia now. And I've got so many friends who have been in higher hierarchy of the wealth creating mechanisms in the country. Because why? It's an easy and attractive way. If you have a capital shareholder value, it's easy and attractive. One share, one vote, and you'll get money. Money is the capital. You build a corporation. You build, and anybody can build a corporation if you have that sense of purpose. If you have a sense of purpose to have wealth creation for yourself, right? How do you transform that mindset into becoming a cooperative stakeholder value? Because that's what you want to create, a long-term, long-standing, and imbibing that as or experimenting the philosophical underpinning of a cooperative. Because with courage and with consistency, build cooperative. It's a one member, one vote, and you build capital. I was told by Dr. Peter Davis, whom I met just recently, said, "Robbie, remember, cooperatives can. If you are a cooperative, you cannot become rich. Well, you are rich in terms of your understanding. You're rich in terms of your values, but you are not rich in terms of wealth." and rightly so. I've been all over the world. I've seen so many cooperators all over the world, and none of them, are, so to speak, wealthy. Yeah, money-wise. So, experimenting, founding, initiating for 55 years, I incubated, developing, promoting, and innovating and sharing. And I think the best few comes after the hardest climb. And I feel that 55 years you climb, but then the wider the view. Of course, the more tiring you are, but the wider the view. Okay, so now I'm going to go let you go through a number of pictures. Where does the wellspring of inspiration come from? I said the philosophical underpinning that we need to start or work with, and of course, Robert was one of the wellspring of inspiration, because he was the one who's an industrialist and became such a strong promoter of co-op and labor, which actually evolved into becoming the International Cooperative Alliance, with the Rochdale Pioneers, of course, to start with, and the ILO. Because Robert Owen has a lot of share, share and input into the making of the ILO. And of course, I was starting the credit union movement in Indonesia. Raiffeisen has been my inspiration. Alphonse Deschardins and Edward Weilin as well. But having said that, you'll never forget Mahatma Gandhi. Because if you look at his life, it is his message, right? And you look, and I have, as an Indonesian, I was born in Indonesia. So Dr. Muhammad Hatta was one of my major inspiration, because when I was 10 years old, Dr. Muhammad Hatta was already starting his book on building cooperatives as a building mechanism. So his book has been read wide and far and wide, and he's been one of the biggest inspiration. And because he believes in people's sovereignty, and he's the father of cooperatives in Indonesia. And here is the inspiration. The pioneering stages in Indonesia, these are all my inspirators. I started with Father Libes. He was with me in Indonesia when we started the credit union and cooperative system in villages back in 1964 and 65, early. And then, of course, when I started the credit union movement, I had the privilege of knowing Father Dijkstra and Father Carl Albrecht, who were my mentors. They're all passed away. They have all passed away, of course. Whom you see in this picture have all passed away. And one of the other inspiration or leaders that is, it was Mr. Ibnu Sujono, who worked so closely with me, and he was the founder of what HERAS is heading now, the Institute of Cooperative Studies and Studies. And Dr. Lubis is one of the journalists who's been jailed by both Sukarno and Suharto, because he's an outstanding journalist who speaks, righteousness and anti-corrupt, and so he was the one who is hailed as one of the best journalists we have in Indonesia. And Margono Jaya Hadikusuma was one also of the post-Hatta thinker on cooperatives, and he built, of course, the Cooperative Bank of Indonesia. In the final analysis, it has morphed into becoming a capital bank. His idea was actually cooperatives in the beginning. And guess what? These are the leaders that have inspired me so much. During my tenure at the ICA, I worked so closely with Professor Dr. Ian Macpherson. And 1995 identity statement, Dr. Ian Macpherson and Bruce Todderson, which were the two main originator of the identity statement of cooperatives. So I worked very closely with them, and at that point in time, I was already with the ICA, and so the Manchester, the 100th anniversary of cooperatives was a major milestone that I think has been percolating further into today's identity, the cooperative identity, which is now being deepened and being enlivened, right? And we have Dr. Yehuda Paz, who was also on the board of ICA Asia Pacific. He's from Israel, wonderful man. He is a very great peacemaker, and he and Dr. Ian Macpherson wrote that book on cooperatives and peace. And my president, that's Roberto Rodriguez, who became the Minister of Agriculture in Brazil. So he was at that time the head of the Brazilian Co-op Federation, and he became the Minister of Agriculture under Lula, which is, of course, the center-left government in Brazil at that time. And the bumblebee flies, Ivano Barberini, the late Ivano Barberini, has been always my great mentor as well. I see that the book that I held there, it was given to him. Unfortunately, it's all in Italian, but he wrote many short stories in that book, and one of which was about him and me when we visited Aceh during the tsunami. And I saw him cry during the tsunami, Mr. Ivano Barberini. And of course, we all know Pauline Green. Dame Pauline Green has always been also a very great cooperator, and we shared so many views together. And Monique Leroux, being from Canada, so she started the Co-op Summits in Quebec. And so during all this while, I was thinking, people from young age has become such great leaders in the world that makes co-op something to be reckoned with. And and then in 1996, in 2016, I initiated, and I talked to Mr. Balu Iyer. I said, look, Balu, we should have a youth conference, and Bali being part of a beautiful country, but not just that, but because I also started the credit union movement in Bali. So let them organize a youth camp and a youth party and a youth conference. So it became the first youth summit in Bali in 2016, which I helped initiate. And of course, these were all the participants from all over the world. They, in fact, from Africa there was one, and also from the Americas. So and they were experimenting here. They were taught the Balinese monkey dance, the Kecak dance, which is a dance drama based on the Ramayana legend of Hinduism at that time. So it was a very lively activity with the young. And Magabung tradition in the Balinese, we had a sharing of meals in solidarity. We eat together, as you can see there. Well, of course, not when the COVID is there. You cannot do this. It's good that it's before COVID, so we can all share a meal with a banana leaf, and we all shared that together. So again, it was lovely. Eve and Mark from Philippines there, of course, and the second summit was organized by them in the Philippines after that, and so forth and so forth, and up to this point that the youth development has been very vibrant. And the journey is worth traveling, I thought. And this is where I saw you for 55 years, you work with the poor, help the poor, generate, cooperative development. And on the left there, I was shaking hand with President Kim Jong Chi, what's his name? He was the president of Korea, who initiated the oh, come on, I forgot. See, it's already 2 in the morning. He initiated the peace deal with the North Korea. Kim Dae-jung. This is President Kim Dae-jung. And it would have been him who could bring Korea together. But again, politics has their own ways. And again, things did not happen as they wish. And this is with the Vice President of Indonesia, Abdul Malik. He's one of the countervailing personality in Indonesia during Suharto time, because Suharto, as you know, is very autocratic, and Abdul Malik was the one who balancing things out, a very honest, trustworthy, and he was a journalist, one that was also closely linked with Mukhtar Lubis, the best in Indonesia. So anyway, just a journey worth travel. Once you got your cooperative virus in your system from the young age, you will never forget that. And and so, youth are torchbearers of the 2030 agenda. It has been very well explained with the contextual explanation by Mr. Ayer and Mr. Ali Reza just now. So we have to have renewed intergeneration solidarity with equitable relations, ensuring that no one will be left behind. AIDS-related barriers must be overcome by, I think, institutionalizing young and old and the specific focus to help achieve the 2030 agenda. I don't think the agenda will be achieved in 2030, given the pandemic, given the inflationary environment we are in right at this moment. But the process will continue. And I think it's the young who will have to renew this whole process in terms of making sure that governance, the circular economy will continue to prevail. And I think we're talking more of the circular economy now than we did just a few years ago. So I think the sustainable development goals will be much better achieved and accomplished if the young start with the circular economy, and of course, climate change and gender-based analysis would continue to have to be taken into account. So it means engaging in the management and leadership of cooperatives. Well, last but not least, challenges are what makes life interesting, and overcoming them is what makes life meaningful. So every day is a new beginning. Take a deep breath, smile, and start again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Virtual appreciation for our first speaker, Sir Robbie Tullos. even though it's very, very, very early in the morning in your country, you still gave time for us and you still enlightened our cooperators here about your journey worth traveled in the cooperative. So to give a insight about the presentation, really as a youth in the global society right now, I agree that what we should have is this certain thirst for knowledge and this spirit for volunteerism, because this drive that every youth or every young cooperator, if you have it, everything will go smoothly. Every plan, everything that you plan, you will achieve this successfully. There may be hurdles in your journey, but again, it will be a journey worth traveled. And I also agree that this misconceptions in ageism, it should really be erased from the society right now. We should not embody into the future generations that there is and there will still be misconceptions, most especially those stereotyping of the different sectors. This is what intergenerational solidarity must focus on to achieve that there are no more misconceptions in our society. And of course, as millennials, the drive for passion, our drive in exploring new ideas, not only for your chosen career, but most especially us here, we have a common denominator, which is being in love with the cooperative. That passion should always live in our hearts. We must be inspired on how long Sir Robbie has journeyed for cooperatives, how great his contributions are to the cooperative, and how he is very devoted. We can really see it right now, that kind of passion and devotion. We were talking a while ago with one of the speakers. We wish that our future self will deliver this kind of passion that Sir Robbie is giving to us. This is giving us a very, very high spirited passion in cooperativism. Not only in cooperativism, but you showing a great enlightenment in every career that you are taking into your life. I can't imagine that you have shared that you are still continuing to educate yourself. I
Uh,
wish that every
uh,
one of us would embody that kind.
and you'll say what I will not forget. I was in the 1990s. I was in Holo when the Abu Sayyaf insurgency was at its height. I was there with the Morino Kua. I was there with a couple of other friends, Salvatierra, from Ficto at the time. And
Yes.
we were trapped in Holo. We almost could not leave Holo. And that was the time that I was really feeling that Philippines, left legacy in my life, in the sense that I saw the the frequency of the cooperative system in the Philippines. I helped develop NATCO from a staff of 5 and now becoming a big one. So I'm so happy to be involved during my younger generation. So again, Dulce, I love Philippines. Thank you.
Thank you. We also love you, Sir Robbie, of course. I am shocked. I was shocked that you already went to Holo. I haven't even experienced being there. So it's like a military zone right now, some kind of a danger zone for us. So I admire you. I idolize you for experiencing that kind. And if there are any uh matters or difficulties that you've experienced, apologies on behalf of the Philippines for that. But I believe that it's a life experience that you'll forever remember. And as representative of the youth sector right now, we will follow what you've said. We will start with believing in the principles, and we will try to live with these principles throughout our journey. So thank you for that share of experience and share of knowledge that you gave us. It's really very open. It opened our mind on the different opportunities that cooperative gives for us. Even though we may not be that wealthy or that rich, but I believe the financial literacy the experiences, the people we got to know along the way, our connections, our friends, our networks in the 4 regions of the cooperatives here. That alone is the richness. That alone is the wealth that we have as cooperators. So again, Sir Robbie, thank you for that experience. So moving on, and our next speaker, we saw her childhood photo a while ago. Thank you, Sir Robbie, for that childhood photo. I was very surprised by that childhood photo, and I'm very proud to whatever success that our next speaker already has right now. It is really an inspiration for every young cooperator to achieve what she has achieved and is continually achieving in the cooperative sector. So without further ado, Ms. Hera, as a global cooperative entrepreneur, mentor, how was your experience in mentoring the youth? And was it easy to make them understand about cooperative business model? And last question is that, do you think there are more things that we need to educate about to our youth and most especially about cooperative?
Okay, thank you, Dulce. Thank you so much for giving me this chance to share my experience, and I'm so happy because my best mentors here. I think I don't want to go any further about the ageism because Pak Robbie is already explained it really well than me. But I will got this to this part. Just like how do we tackle the intergenerational gap? It is LSP to a case study where my organization, and where the first time I met Robbie Toulouse. So I got to understand the man. You have to know what was happening in the world when he was 20. So that's like a reflection what Robbie told us about his journey, his cooperative journey, who really inspired me and inspired many people, young people in Indonesia and also in the world. Okay, I will. Yes, this one I want to tell you about this picture. So I met, if you know this person, the one I really hug, do you know who is he? He's Ajlinda. I met her for the first time in Singapore when I went youth committee. So it's like 2009 when I was in Aceh, also with Pak Robbie at the time. And like last week, we met in Malaysia, 2022. And we discussed a lot at that time and burst in tears because it's like 3 years we never met because of pandemic. And then I want to share what the conclusion of our discussion, our short discussion. She said that what we met with people in the cooperative, it's like it's you and you and you. We know all the people who involved with cooperative since they are really young. And then and we share about how young people, like we don't get any chance to go for the higher position or get more career if the seniors still be there as board director. When I try to understand about ageism, that yes, it is real in cooperative movement, especially here in Indonesia. And we agreed that it can be solved by having more dialogue between what you call senior and junior. And then we agreed that people should be given the same opportunities to be best version of themselves without any fear. Like any fear because maybe you are impolite, you just go too far as junior. You have to wait until the senior please you to give you a promote or promoting, and then any other. And we think it's no need to do that. And then the fourth things we agreed is technologies to be inclusive for everyone, regardless the ages. Why we talk about that is because we saw that technology sometimes make people sorry, what I call it, not all people, but the senior, it's hard to follow the technology. So it should be inclusive for everyone. That's I want to share my last conversation with Azlin in Malaysia. All right. I think the same
Satu.
Okay, right. Yes. This is the same picture we took I think this is the last time we gathered, yeah, Pak Robi. We never gathered after this meeting, yeah. Okay, you see that this is like 3 generation in it. Like no, this is not traditionalists, boomers, and millennials, and as well maybe one of them is Z generation. So what we are doing in LSP, we call it LSP 2 Indonesian Cooperative Development Studies. We really give everyone chance to be best as themselves. And then we believe that if we go together, we learn together, and then you can get the best of you come out. And this is the last picture I had with Pak Robi, 2020, yeah, 2020 when we went to Makassar. So I believe that mentoring is really important. As you know, as you saw before that me and Pak Robi meeting, it's like 2009, I think the first time, yeah, Pak? Yeah, 2009. It was like, yeah, and the first time like I met Azlin in the time. But I met, I think in the beginning of 2009. And then I feel that without him, I'm nothing. So through this forum, I really want to say thank you. And then how I started to push. He's really wonderful as a father, as a teacher, as a mentor, as a cooperator. He's a great one, and it's just like his footstep here in Indonesia is undoubtful, and everyone is really love him. And you know, he is personally in my personal life, he is like my own father, and like my grandfathers, my child grandfathers, because the grandfathers is far away. And this mentoring process when I was still young until now, it really gave me full supporting from the beginning, including when I tried to step my career in international movement. So what the benefit of mentoring I can get from Pak Robi so far, as maybe for all life, is like helping trust myself. So he really raised my confidence, and then always trust everything I'll do, and it's like, okay, just do it. I always give a consultation if I want to do something to him. So he's more than a mentor for me. And then the important thing is networking opportunities with him, going around and then introduce me, and then he opened the door of international movement. That's the benefit what I got. And then of course my skill growth and encouragement is the important thing when I really love, and when I start to helpless, and then I said, and I just come to him and talk what I feel. So with him, I can tell everything I feel, and everything I thought. It's no problem. And then of course I get a better works outcome after get the suggestion from him. So I believe that the mentor is not someone who walks ahead of you to show you how they did it, but a mentor walks alongside you to show you what you can do. That him, if I want to describe how great his mentoring. And then during my role as the mentor, so I want it. I know that I can't follow his footstep, but I try to I try to following his footstep. There is an optimism and opportunities, of course, in our movement, that there is a raised awareness about cooperative model among a small group of youth. This is you like my I still use the background. There's a festival, democracy economy democracy festival hosted by the Sena. This the young ambassador from Indonesia. And then learning communities about cooperatives are growing. We have Gapatma, we have Kenes, we have Camdem, Kabelan Co-op, and it's a really new model for us, and we never learned before, and never been exist before they start to run their organization. And then there are discussion of ideas, practices of new cooperative models such as worker cooperatives or platform co-op. And then there is some try to implement like Ada Hobi, Sama ID, and so on. And then we have a regulatory changes from forming new co-op from 20 to 9 people. So it's more hopes for young people to form cooperative. And then new entrepreneurs raising by numbers, even in micro business scale. And then international cooperative development, which is I try to start here in Indonesia with the fellows from US and South Africa. This is that I want to share about what I'm doing right now, just giving this young people, young generation, and more often just informal meeting with them, just discuss and then sharing about what is co-op and what we can do and what you can gain from these activities. And this is a new one. This like ended last week, not last week, this week. There's really nice conversation and discussion, and then they have like what is it, agreement to do something, to do this the action plan. And this is the people is with the really deep discussion about what we can do for the co-op and then how to develop the new models and like worker co-op for sure. And then this is some I told before that we have some example of the what we call like alternative. It's not that's not like usual co-op we can see in Indonesia. Usually that saving and loan, or just they have small stores, but they go to beyond it. Like they have a education program, they have a research program, and then they have a education, of course, a program for the members and for the people who interest with cooperative. And I'm really proud of it, actually. This is my first international project with fellows from US and South Africa. We call it the Micro Class, the teacher cooperative. This is the platform co-op. And it's just 1 year after we're running the business. And then who will own us? Of course, there is a teachers and workers and as well investor members. Because we realized that we can't close our there's so many people wants to invest in the platform, digital platform. And then we open the opportunities for people who really want to invest in the enterprise, really democratically owned and run. And we open that opportunities for everyone. So it is registered in United Kingdom. And as a cooperative community benefit society, before it's only cooperative, but when we offer another members, the class members like investors, so we changed to be a community benefit society. And of course, we adhere to the 7 principles of cooperation, and for one member, one vote. There is, and now we have like 180, more than 180 probation members, we call it. And then like less than 50, the full members. And we will have AGM in October. And I love this, what is quoted, if you want to be incrementally better, be competitive. But if you want to be exponentially better, be cooperative. So the economy is people powered. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Hera, for that wonderful presentation. So it was really also an eye-opener for us that there are really various technologies, there are various opportunities available for cooperatives, not only for the youth sector, but most especially, we can utilize the power of cooperatives, this kind of freedom, this kind of freedom in management that we have as compared to other entities. We can really utilize this and then convert this into a very, very productive program or very productive business model that can be inherited by one generation to another generation and so on. So this is really, really a great opportunity that we really should focus on. And I agree that Hera completely addressed the gap between the intergenerational gap, how the solution should be presented, most especially that there should be a knowledge about the past or the former, the current, and of course the future situation. Because
Yes.
if you do not know, right? If you do not know the history, if you do not know the practices before, if you do not know the problems as well, the good and the bad, how can you formulate a long-term solution? How can you formulate a long-term plan that will benefit the future generation? So that really plays a big factor in the success of the cooperativism in a specific. And another one is you had the same thought as with your mentor, Sir Robbie. There should be a continuous education and training among us. Because of course, there is this regular updating of the law, of the regulations, not only in one country, but also in Asia Pacific. We should all be aware, since we are very active in the international setting of cooperatives, we should all be aware of any regulation update that there is so that we can formulate programs fit for its country. And we can also replicate, let's say, what Indonesia is doing, what Malaysia is doing, what Canada is doing, what Iran is doing. We can easily replicate their best practices. And one thing that I like about that presentation is your emphasis on the importance of mentoring and networking. I also had a mentor. I also have actually a mentor in the Philippines. It's the former CDA chairman, Dr. Emmanuel Santiaguel. I don't know if you are familiar with him.
Yes.
He's like my Sir Robbie here in Philippines. So I can really relate on this importance of mentoring, because had I not gone with Dr. Santiago
Dr. Manny, right?
yes, Dr. Manny on
Dr.
his
Manny.
trip, on his cooperative ventures, I will not be where I am today. So before, I've thought of cooperatives being just a consumer cooperative offering different business opportunities. But when I saw the university cooperatives, education cooperatives, the agricultural cooperatives, and the youth committee, my mind was really blown that there are really various opportunities for the youth. And that is one of the good things having this different generations in cooperative. We should not promote ageism, but we should promote mentoring. Yes, mentoring is really, really a great factor in cooperative, because we can learn from them. They will say the good and the bad, the practices that was done before, and they will not tell it to us, but there is a way of saying that you address that problem. You give solutions. Your generation should handle that. Like, I think you can relate to this. We are done solving that problem. It's now your time. It's now your time to formulate solutions.
Dulcian.
And
Dulce, can I interrupt?
yes, of course.
Yes, sorry, I may have to take leave now, and I have to apologize to John Paul, but I'm sure there is a recording that I will follow. But I have another meeting at 8 this morning. So I would
Oh,
like to, yeah,
yes.
I would like to take leave and hopefully, you will have not just this meeting, but the impact of thing that will, that will generate, much more, what do you call it? Rolling ice, like a snowball, rolling snow. It will snowball into becoming a much more, what do you call it? Enrichment process from what we have today. Thank you very much, Dulce. And thank you, Ali Reza. Thank you, Sri, and everybody else. So I will have to take leave now. Good.
Thank you, Sir Rob.
Bye now.
Thank you, Sir Robbie. On behalf of Ali
Tata.
Reza, Shri, and the whole ICYC Committee on Youth Cooperation, thank you very much. And we hope to see you again
Thank
on a
you.
more appropriate time. Thank you so much.
But thank you. Salamat po. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, sir. So thank you, Sir Robbie. And going back, just to give another comment or opinion about that very, very great presentation of Era. This term encouragement, this really, I noticed that in the presentation, it was mentioned that there is the ageism or this intergenerational gap is really present or is really, felt in Indonesia, right?
Yeah.
This word encouragement, it has a deeper meaning that we should embody in this intergenerational gap. Because the problem with ageism is that we are receiving not words of encouragement, but sometimes words of discouragement from other people, from those people who are maybe way younger or those people older than us. But if we have chosen the right mentor, if we have chosen the right role model that we will follow to, like as what you said, you're following the steps of Sir Robbie. If we have this certain kind of inspiration, good inspiration, whom we are getting this kind of encouragement, I believe that youth cooperatives will go a long way. It's like we should establish that there must be a healthy relationship between the old generation and the younger generation. And this harmonious relationship will form a new product which we will carry on from another generation. Let's admit it, we're getting older, so we have to pass the torch to the younger generation. This, if we, the millennials, I think we are better classified as millennials. We have learned from this experience. We have experienced ageism firsthand. So it is high time that we should not pass this kind of problem to the younger generation, but we must promote and address by being a good mentor and giving a good encouragement, a positive encouragement to the other people. So we hope that in Asia Pacific, ageism will really be addressed. It's also somehow evident here in the Philippines. So again, thank you for that very, very wonderful presentation, Hera. And that micro class, it's like a timely project because of the pandemic as well. So it's easily, you promoted the inclusivity in technology. That
Yes,
is
right.
really, you have really promoted that one. So it's really a good platform cooperative and very useful for every student right now. So I congratulate you for that. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I think let's move on to our last speaker, a fellow Filipino. Good afternoon, John Paul, JP. Sorry, good afternoon,
Hi.
JP.
Yes, good afternoon.
So so JP here, guys, he will discuss his is how do I say it? He's just the winner of the replication project. So JP here is part of the group who won the recently held ICA Global, it's Global Youth Replication Project. So he will tell us about the newly set up Youth Connect Cooperative. And JP, as a young person, also, can you address the question, why did you choose this kind of cooperative business model?
Okay. Thank you so much, Dulce. I hope my screen is visible. So yeah, is it? Is it? Yeah. Okay. So again, thank you once again to the committee for inviting us to join in today's commemoration of the 2022 International Youth Day. Um, So actually, I have a bit of a problem after those two panelists. I don't know how how I can follow that level and pool of wisdom, but I will try. So actually, my presentation for today would be revolving around three main points. They're on why cooperatives, how the youth can participate in cooperatives, at least from what we saw or what we found out, and what we did with the Youth Connect cooperative. So um, actually, I believe the audience, or like those who are present right now, uh, do not need any convincing to join or like to set up, or because I believe most of you are already in cooperatives. But really, for the wide majority of youth that we encounter on a day-to-day basis, most of them are uninitiated. So maybe one of them, or hopefully any one of them would be able to watch today's video. So, or maybe some of them are actually watching right now. So uh, I think it's still important to start with why why the youth should participate in cooperatives. So first and foremost, cooperatives are inherently sustainable. So even before the concept of the triple bottom line was coined, cooperatives all over the world have already been built on the seven cooperative principles. So those seven are there. So actually, when you start as a cooperative, you are already steps ahead of other similar enterprises on maintaining a triple bottom line. So this also makes cooperatives more resilient to external factors, so such as what we saw during the global pandemic. So of course, I'm not going to leave you without examples. So based on an informal self-reported survey conducted by the Philippine Cooperative Development Authority. So they interviewed around 1,200 cooperative respondents all over the Philippines. So 60% of them continued their business operations while 35% remained partially open. So granting that around 75% of them were credit or multi-purpose cooperatives. So meaning here in the Philippines, they would have had their statutory reserve and community funds already ready. So, yeah, for unforeseen circumstances like a global pandemic. So, based on the same survey, these cooperatives have also largely kept their workforce intact, with around half having no reduction in their workforce. So, again, we are seeing the emphasis on the people who are also like probably a lot of them are also members of the cooperative. These respondents also participated in helping the community through various ways, so providing assistance to both members and non-members alike. So again, these statistics are just in the Philippines. When we look at the global movement, we see an apex cooperative converting its hostel to an isolation facility, a woman cooperators think tank working alongside their medical community, a cooperative creating an agricultural ambulance, and another facilitating direct access to farmers who want to sell produce. So really, when looking at uh, a global perspective, there is no shortage of stories showcasing the resiliency and concern for community of cooperatives all over the world. So these are simply just the sixth and seventh cooperative principles simply at work. So again, for the uninitiated, I believe there's really no shortage of uh, youth who are uninitiated. So for those who are not yet a member or yet to actively participate in any cooperative, this is just another friendly reminder that these inherently sustainable cooperatives can be anything. So there's a cooperative music app like Spotify. Some are creating and designing clothes. Others are providing access to renewable energy. The one by Miss Hera, a very awesome cooperative, is a teacher-owned cooperative. So providing access to learning materials, I believe. And there's even a cooperative online marketplace like Amazon. So really, cooperatives can absolutely be anything. Actually, I haven't seen a cooperative that does this mobile apps or e-wallets. So I don't know if there's one. What, let me know. I haven't seen that yet. So yeah, I believe there's a lot in our respective countries. So there, I have not yet seen an e-wallet cooperative. So yeah, that's exciting. So as a thought experiment, just imagine what if these cooperatives, what if these companies, these large companies, were established as a cooperative. So let's say what if YouTube, Uber, Amazon was a cooperative. So I'm not saying that being a cooperative would make these companies perfect, but they would have had a different impact to our modern society if they were operated as cooperatives, wouldn't you think? So maybe the next Amazon-like cooperative is just waiting for you to start. So which brings us to the second point of my presentation. So how do you start? How can the youth take a more active role in their cooperatives and the cooperative movement as a whole? So we identified three major ways. As I mentioned earlier, these are three ways. So actually, the first one is the origin story of Red Root. We started with literally nothing. I think we had one laptop or one PC. So people were actually skeptical during our early years. People were skeptical when we told them that e-commerce and online shopping should be the next step for large consumer cooperatives. They also thought we were wasting resources trying to figure out remote working setups. And look where the shifting norms are now. So the rest, as they say, is history. It is always an uphill climb to be the young ones in any movement. And we try to help pave the way for the next generation, as we at Red Root and ICYC can very much relate with the challenges. So hopefully in the future, youth cooperatives like ours will not be one in every few hundred cooperatives. So actually the Coopathon and the Replication Project are good examples of platforms that help create cooperatives that are more responsive to the needs of our present society. So yeah, kudos to that. Which brings us next to the second way we have identified. Our youth, the youth of today, can join current youth cooperatives. These youth cooperatives can also be empowered by others to take on larger roles in their communities and the entire movement as a whole. So of course, the second and third way is always easier said than done, but as what our regional director Balu Ayer mentioned during his message, intergenerational solidarity is needed to solve the issues that we face today. Dialogues such as the one we did today are a good start, as well as what Hera has mentioned. Juniors should be given a chance to speak to their seniors. So here's actually just a few photos. Uh, when I was actually lucky enough to join Red Root, to join a youth cooperative, basically a youth managed, and so I started as a student assistant. So I was still studying when I started in Red Root, and luckily, throughout the years, Red Root has given me a chance to grow, and now I am taking a much larger role in our organization and hopefully outside our organization as well. So, for my fellow youth who want to start, there is actually a great resource published by the ICA. So it's this one. So it has like curriculums, it has frameworks ready for you. So really, actually that's one of the advantages of doing it, through starting your journey through a cooperative. The support system is really much more than if you would have done it privately or on your own. So there's really a lot of resources and a lot of support and mentors as well. So yeah. So which brings us to the third point. So what we did when we established YCC, which was the cooperative that was born out of the replication project grant launched in 2022. In 2020. So actually, it was just a crazy idea that came to life. If you'll see here, our CEO, TP Hila, I think a lot of you know her. She just literally sent us an email inviting us to join the youth replication program by ICA. So it's like she asked us to. It could be like similar to someone asking you out to go eat for dinner. This is just as simple as that. So yeah. And since then, our string of emails became this. It was a conceptual framework of sorts. So actually, we used a lot of the learnings from the platform cooperatives course that TP joined, and now I believe she's also a mentor in the platform cooperatives course. So yeah, and it became this. This was our first iteration. There was still a lot of rough edges and figuring out involved. So um, just like same to what Sir Robbie did. There was a lot of experimentation, but this one was mostly on the technological side. So figuring out the the technology and the equipment that we need to run these types of events properly, which became this. So our current product offerings at Redroot and YCC. So we started with virtual events coupled with virtual exhibits and other virtual experiences. So, but actually we are now at a point where we can do entire virtual expos, summits, fully online without the need for visitors to download any additional application. So all of these can actually be accessed through your browser. So building the team and finding co-founders was actually a bit hard at first. It was always challenging to find like-minded individuals. But it actually helped that some or even most of my fellow co-founders have had some exposure or awareness to cooperatives, and they were excited with the concept or idea we are pitching. So these are a very diverse group of people with varying backgrounds and schedules. Actually, there were some times when we would not be able to achieve a quorum or move ahead with a decision. So, actually, a select few, I just won't mention any names, were friends of ours who were automatically included as a co-founders. No permission required. We asked them to join us for a meeting, and that was it. So, luckily, they stayed. So actually, a lot of our meetings, if not all, were virtual. It was both a challenge and an opportunity, as it allowed us to link up with people who were from different areas in the Philippines. Again, this was at the height of the pandemic, so a lot of things were being done remotely. So we had more flexibility on scheduling virtual meetings, but now that the pandemic is, it's slowly easing up, physical meetings are becoming a challenge. So external critics and skepticism were also still present. People could not understand what a virtual event was and how it would be different to just a typical or normal Zoom event. They would ask us why the need to do it this way. Why not just do it via Zoom, via Google Meet, or like any other live streaming platform? So yeah, I think we established YCC through us for around a year, I guess, until we got the paperwork. So yeah, it was it was a challenge. So really, much like any endeavor, there will be birthing pains. This was very much true in our case. So it's always important to find like-minded people who will help you realize your vision with you. Um, Most cooperatives have also been founded or started in response to a need. So, which leads us to step number 2. What do you want to solve? It can be in your community, it can be. And next, you have to know what resources you already have. These resources don't have to be physical assets or tangible assets. The founders of Redroot started with their talent. So, and there's a saying here in the Philippines, laway lang ang puhunan. So our saliva. So, it means we're really just we were explaining a lot what we were doing as a cooperative or what our products and services were offering. And of course, make use of existing tools and free stuff. So there's very many. There's a lot. A good place to start would be the link that's here. So this is again, this is a resource published by the ICA. So yeah. And finally, just start. So get organized, create a working framework, build your next crazy idea. It doesn't have to be crazy. It can just be an idea. So yeah. So again, I just wanna, before I finally end, these 3 are at least what we have identified as the ways on how the youth can broaden their role in their cooperatives and in the cooperative movement as a whole. So I believe it's important. Like our seniors basically, we know that you have a lot of wisdom. So, but I believe it's also important to listen to the youth, to us. We might, I believe we have a lot to contribute still, and actually, I would like to end with this. This is a quote from our national hero here in the Philippines. The youth is the hope of our future. So, as you can see, Jose Rizal, his name is Jose Rizal, he had a lot of faith in the youth, and we can only hope to live up to it. So, yeah, make your crazy ideas a reality. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation, JP. Our winner, the ICA Global Youth Replication Project. So from this presentation of JP, we can really see right now is we've started on our the roots of cooperativism through Sir Robbie. And then Hera contributed some technology-driven ideas, technology-inclusive ideas. And then John Paul here made us realize that these small ideas coming from the young minds, this what he called crazy ideas, can be transformed into a bigger platform, into a bigger opportunity. As what I have noted, this term crazy, this crazy idea that for them it's a crazy idea. But if we look into it into a bigger picture, this is not just a crazy idea. This idea is how the drive for cooperativism was shown, how the burning passion and drive was shown, how commitment was shown, that this group of young people from Red Root to the Youth Connect Cooperative, they have this very diverse talent, most especially in technology. And they wanted to share this kind of talent to the international cooperative sector. That's why that burning passion in sharing the common interest, in sharing their talent, that led them to become the winner of the replication project. And right now, there are various opportunities being offered by them. Actually, one of the presentation there of John Paul, that involved a national agency in the Philippines. So it's a really a great opportunity, business opportunity for young cooperators. And what's most inspiring is that story where JP started being John Paul started being a student assistant. But right now, look where he is. He just simply represents Philippines in Asia Pacific and in the global sector, being the chairperson and being the winner of the replication project. So from that simple commitment, from that simple vision in life, it will really take you to places. You just know your talent, your the resources. I agree with that. We do not need to have that great financial resources for us to be successful. Because in the cooperative, our resources revolve around the network that we have, our talent, our commitment, our teamwork. Without that, without pooling those resources, our cooperative will not really last. Our cooperative will not survive even in the pandemic. So this common bond and common goal, this pooled resources is what really makes a cooperative successful one. And as what he already mentioned about the unforeseen circumstances, the pandemic, the global pandemic that we had, the pandemic also gave an opportunity for cooperatives to rise up. Hera is a good example here, that website for education and the the booming technology for online and video conferences, this kind of meeting that we have. It is really true that for this young generation, once we had our minds open to the world of video conferencing, how convenient we are just wearing a formal clothes on top of us, but our lower apparel is like a clothing for our household. So that comfortable clothes that we are in, no one knows if we already took a bath or not. But what matters is our appearance in the camera. So that kind of convenience gave us the mindset that technology is really an advanced kind of thing that we should utilize. You know, being open to the world of video conferencing or this kind of online setup, it really saved not only financial expense, but also saved most of our time. Can you imagine this kind of webinar being held somewhere else? It's like not being held virtually. You know the amount of expense that it will cost for you to travel from one place to another just to meet other people. I'm not saying that that kind of physical activities are should be discouraged. It should be encouraged from time to time because physical networking is really incomparable as to virtual networking. But this kind of exchange of information, this can really be done conveniently online. That is our role here in the topic of intergenerational gap. We must address that technology should be inclusive, that we must empower the youth. We must be responsive to the current needs, not the past needs, not the former needs, but the current and the future needs of the society. That is what we must contribute to the cooperative. And yes, cooperatives are inherently sustainable. I totally agree with that. We are sustainable. We do not need that much of a support, but the internal support from our members and our mentors, that's what we need to satisfy our drive for success. So thank you, John Paul, for that wonderful presentation. And since we are lacking time, I think we can open the floor for like 2 to 3 questions. If our viewers or our joiners have some questions for our panel here, we can open the floor for questions. The concerns about the presentations, yes, I think they will be addressed. I think Shri can give the copy of the presentations after the webinar. That's what he said in the chat box. So if there are no more questions left for our panel, I think it goes to show that they really presented their presentation efficiently. There's no more room for questions. We appreciated your presentations
I have a
and
question.
you. Yes. Oh, Shri has a
I have a
question.
Yeah, I have a question for
Okay.
Hira. Hira, so as a global cooperative entrepreneur mentor that you did as a mentorship program, was it easy to make them the youth understand about the cooperative business model, or do you think that we need to educate more youth about cooperatives? Do you feel that we need to have an event or a capacity building program for youth to understand the cooperative model?
Yes, of course, Ray, is really needed, because when you tell about the cooperative and then how the business models work, they still need like proven the proven example, of course, and the technical aspect, like how to build the cooperative with cooperative enterprise, and then how the business canvas is, or how to get the financing, and then how to get connected with every co-op. It's related to their business. It's really important. And then when they realize that we can be a member of cooperatives in the world, like you don't need to be a member in your own cooperative in your own country, but even you can be a founder for a cooperative in the place where you never gone there. It's like a new challenge for everyone, and new opportunities, of course.
And how do you capture young minds? When they have no idea about the cooperatives, and when they come to you for getting trainings or getting to learn about the cooperative, how do you make them feel that cooperative is something that you can definitely follow your passion with, and something like that?
Yes.
How do you capture the young?
Yeah, I capture and actually I've captured the co-op since I was really young, like 14 years old, when I was in senior high schools. So meeting people who really high skills and then have the same passion about cooperative is really helping me grow. And then I think it's one thing I want to share with everyone, that what Pak Robi said before, that passion is really it's the strong power for people to grow Yeah.
Thank you, Hira. Thank you for answering the questions.
Thank you,
I have
Sri.
last question for John. John, since you have been the winner of the replication project, and you have set up a new cooperative also. So can you please tell me about how long was it easy for you to set up a cooperative in Philippines, or was it easy to find like-minded people to join your cooperative? Because I'm sure that there are certain rules for setting up a cooperative. So you need to have around 10 to 20 members to form a cooperative. So what was your experience on that?
Yeah, so there's a bit of I can't say it was easy. There were challenges, definitely, with finding like-minded individuals. As I mentioned during my presentation, some of our friends, which some of them are a bit like-minded, that to us, they were automatically joined to the cooperative, so without the need for prior permission. So, but really, well, YCC was lucky in that regard. Much of the challenge was actually on the paperwork side, so the regulatory side, a bit there. The regu I mean, it still has some catching up to do. There's there is really a new breed of cooperatives that are coming up now, and I think the regulatory side of it has to catch up to that. It it was a bit hard to categorize what under what uh, category YCC would belong to. Yeah.
I wish you all the best with YCC, and I will try to get in touch and give more uh, facilities for YCC in international platforms. So thank you so much for joining in today. Dulce, you want to continue?
Yes, Shri, thank you for that question. So if there are no more questions, I think it's time for me to wrap up this program and to give you my final conclusion and final summary for this wonderful program that we had for the International Youth Day. So intergenerational solidarity, being a major key for sustainable development, it can be best achieved, I believe, through cooperativism by ensuring that a healthy established relationship with each other, seeing to it that there is equity and inclusivity and participation, collaboration, and success. Ageism, or this stereotyping or discrimination towards others based on age, it has been a continuous change and challenge for everyone. It is often an unaddressed or unnoticed issue, but it's present everywhere. Ageism has an adverse effect on health, on human rights, on the personal development, and psychological being of people, among others. This gap that we have must be filled. It must be filled in by our call for intergenerational solidarity, a call for unity, a call for cooperation towards the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. Encouragement, continuous education, technological inclusivity, the burning passion, awareness, and positivity are some of the factors that may address our intergenerational gap. And lastly, as young cooperators, we might often be casualties of ageism. We might often be the victims of this kind of gap. But we must always bear in mind that if we do not act on it, if we do not resolve this gap, if we do not cooperate and unite to achieve a solidified end, then our global situation will worsen. It is but in our hands that the future of cooperative movement, the future of the global community will rely upon. And with this, it is my pleasure. It is an honor for me to be the moderator for this kind of activity. It is really, it goes to show that the ICAAP, especially our youth committee, really offers a great program for our youth. And I hope that all our joiners here, our participants, will continue supporting the ICYC and all of our programs that we are brewing for the youth. On behalf of Alireza and Shri, we also have here our member, Charisse from the Philippines. I am a proud member of ICYC. And thank you for giving me a chance to be your moderator for today's event. And I think I am giving the spotlight to our secretariat, to Shri, for his closing statement for this program.
Thank you, Dulce. Intergenerational solidarity. The term intergenerational gave me an idea to bring senior cooperator, middle-aged cooperator, and a young cooperator together on one platform. And this is it. And we have learned that there should be passion in whatever you do. I would like to thank Dr. Robbie Tullis, former ICAP regional director, for joining the webinar and sharing his valuable thoughts and experiences. I'm sure all of us are inspired by his passion and his dedication of work towards cooperative. Personally, I love the concept of cooperation, and interestingly, we have always practiced cooperation in some or the other way. I hope that I will build a more stronger passion towards cooperation and towards the cooperative. Thank you so much, Ravi sir, for taking out time and sharing your experience with us. I would like to thank Hira for sharing her experiences for getting mentorship from Robbie Tullis. Like Robbie sir mentioned, you have the cooperative virus within you and you would like to get infected with it. so that which means that we'll always be in touch. We'll reach out to you for all the mentorship program that you support us for, and youth committee will definitely organize different set of activities where we'll have mentorship, and the word mentorship comes in, your name automatically pops up. So we'll always be in touch, and we'll make sure that more youth are educated towards the corporate. And John Paul, a young cooperator, you have rightly highlighted that youth are unaware of cooperative model. So we need to create more capacity building for youth, just to introduce them to the cooperative business model. And thank you, John, for setting up an example of by winning the replication project and making a new cooperative, Youth Connect Cooperative. ICAP with Youth Committee will definitely organize more events like replication project so that we can give more opportunities for you to get involved in the cooperative movement. I would like to also thank ICAP Regional Director Mr. Balasubramanian Iyer for sending his video message. I thank Mr. Ali Reza, Chairperson, Dulce, Vice Chair, and CJ, Second Vice Chair, and especially Dulce for hosting this, moderating this webinar in a very fantastic manner. Thank you so much, Dulce. And I'd like to also thank all the participants who have joined, who are viewing this webinar online also from YouTube. And thank you so much for taking out time and making this webinar as a success webinar. We will definitely share the presentations by speakers over the email. So thank you so much for joining in. And I now maybe highlight Ali Reza if he wants to add something.
Thank you, everyone, especially the speakers. I personally enjoyed every single slide of the presentations coming from each speaker from each different region. I like the presentation coming from Dr. Robbie Toulouse with all the history of his activities, and it was very interesting to see his photos of like young ages until now, who is a late young, and I mean it was very interesting, especially that he was joining us from Canada, where the time was very late, but I personally enjoyed a lot. Then Hira, as mentioned by Shri, she has like the value of all the principles of the cooperatives in herself. So I think she has absorbed all the important points of the cooperatives in her. And of course, John from Redroot or YCC, who have done a great activity regarding the platform type of cooperatives, and also the activities that they have done in Philippines. And I'm sure that they have a global mindset as well. Thank you so much, Dulce, for this wonderful job that you did for all the youth in the region. I believe this webinar was one of the main activities that we have done so far regarding the celebration of the International Youth Day, and it was very important for us to have this activity. And the last but not least is the activities coming from the secretary of the committee, who has been doing a very wonderful job in increasing the attention for the youth in Asia Pacific, and also in the regional office in Delhi. And I'm very happy that we have made this webinar a success. And I really look forward to receiving the presentations from each speaker, so that audience or the participants who were here today, or those who could not make it to come today, could take benefit of the information shared by our speakers. Stay tuned. We will definitely share the presentation to everyone of our members. And the last is also the regional director, who has always been a great supporter of the youth movement. We shared the news with him on the last minute, and although he was very busy, he could make it, and he could send us a video message, and it really meant a lot for us. So by this, I would like to close this webinar if anyone else has anything else to share. But if not, then we can close this webinar. And again, I would like to say congratulations for the occasion of the International Youth Day, which is one of the most important naming of the year that the UN has put to tell us how youth are important in the cooperatives, outside the cooperative, and for the future of the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. See you soon.